What is up, gang? Thank you for checking out Sledgehammer TV tonight. It is Monday, April the 23rd, 2018, and it was the first Monday Night Raw post the Superstar shakeup. And the more things change, the more the song remains the same. And we are here to bring the hammer down on tonight's edition of Monday Night Raw in the supposed go-home show for the Great Roman Show, and we are going to talk about it right here and right now on the newest, fastest rising, #1 podcast on all of YouTube and all over the world, the Sledgehammer Wrestling Show. Let's do it.
Sledgehammer Wrestling Show.
All right, wrestling fans, thank you so much for joining me. My name is Nick Nightmare. Along with me, as always, is the world's greatest tag team, the best team a podcast head could ever have. That is Thor, the wrestling god of thunder, the official sledgehammer of the Sledgehammer Wrestling Show, and my little buddy, my trusty companion, and most importantly, the world heavyweight champion of all the microphones in all the world. That's Mr. Blue, the snowball microphone. Let's talk about tonight's really bad Monday Night Raw. Maybe am I being too harsh? Did you enjoy tonight's show? Because if you did, then maybe you're still drunk from the fact that the superstars have been shaken up. Maybe you still hit a little bit too much of that dry martini. You shook it up real nice last week to get drunk to try to enjoy Monday Night Raw, because that's the only type of person that can enjoy a Monday Night Raw, is an absolutely retardedly drunk person who does not care about the nonsense that doesn't make sense when you're watching Monday Night Raw. Raw clearly last week was the loser of the shakeup, being with the picks that they got tonight, and I think they felt exactly the same way as almost every single person that was brought to Monday Night Raw was on the losing end of their match tonight. So what did they bring? They brought a bunch of losers to Monday Night Raw, starting with this guy right here. Not that I had much high expectations for the future of a Bobby Roode on Monday Night Raw, but seeing Bobby Roode losing on Monday Night Raw, what did we change essentially? We changed nothing. He went from losing on SmackDown to losing on Raw. And when he lost tonight to Elias in what was a somewhat okay match, we saw no signs of frustration, no sort of a tease or a lead-in towards the much-needed heel turn of Bobby Roode. You had a babyface Bobby Roode that nobody really gave two shits about, versus a red-hot heel Elias that the crowd wanted to win. Something is wrong with the dynamic when every single time you have a babyface and a heel in a scenario, the opposite person that you want the reaction from is generating your reactions. And it's not making for good television. It's not doing any good for guys like Bobby Roode, guys like The Ascension. I had absolutely no hope for The Ascension, and they proved me right this week. What did they do? They went from losing on SmackDown Live to showing up and losing to the uncrowned tag team champions. Matt Hardy and Bray Wyatt are a fantastic team. Am I mad that they got a win tonight? Absolutely not. But my anger comes from the fact that you had the chance here tonight to relaunch The Ascension. If you weren't ready and you didn't have a real good story for them and you just wanted to get them on TV because they're your new toys to play with, then fine. But that's not what you should have done. They had the prime opportunity to set these guys up to be the force to be reckoned with that they were in NXT. These are the longest reigning NXT tag team champions being swallowed up by the Eater of Worlds and the Deleter of Worlds. Why would they give them that match as their first match on Monday Night Raw? Did anybody in that crowd, did any of you watching along with me at home think for 1 minute that the Ascension was going to win that match? the Ascension only continues their descension into Jobberville. And it's a goddamn shame. Especially with the way we need credible and viable tag teams. It's upsetting. It's upsetting to me. Were you happy to see Chad Gable tonight? Chad Gable, they put him in a segment opposite Kurt Angle that made the WWE look like the biggest dumbasses ever just based on these two guys being on camera together. When you want to come on TV over a year ago and bring us Jason Jordan and tell us that he is Kurt Angle's illegitimate son from an affair he had way back when, and now you have him standing face to face with a guy who's a literal friggin' splitting image. He's a mirror image of Kurt Angle. You picked the wrong team member. It's absolutely ridiculous how much alike they looked. Do you know how much better this angle would have been received if it had been Chad Gable? Something much more believable. Come on now, you guys. How much pie in the face have they been getting with that one? You'd have to be an idiot not to see that. Everybody watching that segment tonight when they did that live on Raw, everybody in the back was like, oh jeez, maybe we should have went with this kid. Maybe the crowd wouldn't have booed this kid. He definitely looks legit like Kurt Angle's real life son. Absolutely crazy. He gets caught up in a little scuffle backstage with Jinder Mahal. Everybody's happy to see him, right? The modern day garbage Raja. Garbage. Who wants to see him? He could read off the floor all he wants. His promo, his deliveries, his timing is terrible. That's why he gets booed, not because he's putting down Chad Gable. I didn't care what he had to say, because everything he said was just absolutely cringe, just by the way it was coming out his mouth, and the way he had his little head scarf thing pulling his eyebrows up so that he looked even more like Scar from The Lion King. Get out of here. Absolutely crazy. Were you excited that Chad Gable got the victory tonight? I was. For a moment, I was like, hey, look at this. They gave the win to the kid. I automatically assumed this kid was going down. But Chad Gable gets the win in Bret Hart fashion. Reliving when Bret Hart pinned Rowdy Roddy Piper for the Intercontinental Championship in that controversial sleeper hold into a roll-up. We had it seen live tonight. We haven't seen that in so freaking long, right? It was a fantastic moment for Chad Gable, scratching and clawing his way up the ladder. All this means is that somehow, to me, and mark this down because I might be the only guy saying this on YouTube tonight or all week long. And we'll talk more about it on the preview and predictions for the Great Roman Party on Friday. Jinder Mahal is going to win back the United States Championship from Jeff Hardy. By hook or by crook. Because there's no other reason for him to swallow that loss tonight the way the WWE has got the massive stiffy that they do for Jinder Mahal. He's going to get some sort of reward for this defamation to his record tonight. It's going to be the United States Championship. In retrospect, that means, in my eyes, The Miz will be winning back the Intercontinental Championship and bringing it with him to SmackDown to feud with Daniel Bryan over in the near future. And I think that's something I will be okay with. That is just me speculating. Those are my picks. We'll get more into that later on this week. But Monday Night Raw, like I said, it had a few shining little moments, but in those shining moments, I could tell you right off the bat, they killed it. They killed it for me with just their execution. Bobby Roode versus Elias was a match. As soon as I heard it, I wasn't going to like it. It was a good match. Not that I didn't enjoy the match quality. The match quality was very good. You got two of the best in the business. It just didn't make sense to have Bobby Roode come to Monday Night Raw to put him down. Right off the bat, right out of the starting gate, Bobby Roode with a loss, first match on Raw. What good did it do for him? Did shitload of good for Elias, because everybody loves Elias. Everybody wants to walk with Elias. The same could be said with Matt Hardy and the Ascension. Let's scroll down this way, make sure we get through this thing. The one thing I will say that I did enjoy, actually, there were two things tonight that happened on Raw. And mark this down because we don't talk about enjoyment on Monday Night Raw very often. But I did enjoy Dolph Ziggler and Drew McIntyre. When this debuted last week, I did not like it on the onset. I did not see how adding Ziggler to McIntyre would raise his stock in any way. But this team, if it is in fact going to be a team, does have some legs. And I don't mean Drew McIntyre's 6'9" friggin' tall, gigantic legs that he meshed into the face of Apollo tonight with that ridiculous Claymore into the zigzag, which is one of the coolest new moves. It is right up there in my tag team finisher rating. I think that's a fantastic combination of maneuvers that is second to none in the tag team division right now. I was a big fan of the Shatter Machine from the Revival. I like the Twisted Abigail. I think that's kind of cool. But this maneuver that these two have come up with, and the fact that they're going to call themselves The Show, they are just The Show, which I think is great. Maybe it'll take it a little bit away from the Big Show so much, and we'll start moving to this show, which is going to be a much better show. All over social media last week and this week, everybody has been comparing them to Kevin Nash and Shawn Michaels, or back when he was Diesel, rather, and they were the dudes with attitudes, and they were tearing shit up in the WWE, hence the little sign, Dudes with Attitude Part 2 is definitely supported and backed by Sledgehammer TV. I am interested. I absolutely think the pairing will turn out for the best. At some point, this team will have to split up or implode. Hopefully, they allow it to go a long way before they make those steps. But we're going to have to wait and see how things develop a little bit further. I was very, very high on this match. I love that finisher. I hope they give it a cool name, and that's enough of my love and affection for that particular segment, because on the opposite end of the spectrum, they were facing Titus Worldwide. I was forced to sit through another match where I had to see Dana Botch running around outside, and Titus O'Neil is just fucking awful. He's just absolutely awful. Right from the beginning of the match, he couldn't even throw Dolph Ziggler into the corner correctly. He was trying to move him around. He's such a big, lumbering idiot. He's just a goon in the ring. He does not move with any grace or any sort of professional athleticism to my eye. I cannot spot it. Not for a microsecond. He's just awful. Everything that the Velveteen Dream is, how graceful and elegant and how wonderful he is in the ring, how his body expresses his actions, and how just over the top he is, and how great as an athlete and as a performer he is. Titus O'Neil is the exact fucking opposite. The exact opposite. Two complete different ends of the spectrum. He should be nowhere near a wrestling ring. Keep doing your personal appearances and your Dad of the Year bullshit for the WWE. Be an ambassador. That's fine. You seem to be enjoying that, and that's great. I'm glad you're happy. Stop ruining Monday Night Raw with these way, way lackluster appearances in the ring. And if you're going to have him there, at least leave him on the outside where he could do as little damage as possible. Apollo is a talented individual. Apollo is a great talent. He's a phenomenal athlete, and he's being dragged down by the stigma and the stench of Titus Worldwide, as proven tonight. Just go back if you think I'm crazy, and maybe you missed it because you were so hyped up about Drew and Dolph doing their thing. Titus O'Neil is trash. You want to talk botch? Maybe he's taking too many notes from Dana Botch, because he was botching all over the place in that ring tonight. Absolutely terrible. I did also enjoy throughout the night, and this is the first time we're saying this one too, the Miztourage. The Miztourage without the Miz and on this search for a new leader is fucking fantastic. These guys go into the back. They're bothering everybody. They bother Seth Rollins. They give him this whole sales pitch, and then they rip open their expensive little dress coats, and they got his shirt on, and they're screaming, "Burn it down!" Made me laugh. Made me laugh out loud, hysterical. I thought it was great. My immediate thought after that segment was, they need to do this to every single person on the Monday Night Raw roster. Every single one. And get rejected. until somebody maybe new comes in, or somebody gets called up from NXT, or maybe you go with giving them their own thing. You know, just allow them to not have a leader, that they're just going to say, screw it, nobody wants to lead us, we'll do it ourselves, and let them be just a good tag team. Axel and Dallas. But my heart and my head, when I really think about it, wants me to, if I was booking this, I would just automatically send them to Bray Wyatt and Matt Hardy. Just allow them to be swallowed up into that family aspect, grow the Woken universe, reestablish a Wyatt family of sorts, so that when Wyatt and Matt Hardy eventually dissolve, they will both have players to play with on the outside. Give Bo Dallas his older brother as his guide. His older brother is a cult leader. He's on the same show, and he's not going to find him to say, hey, listen, we need a leader. Why don't we join you guys in this Woken thing? My luck, they'll actually do that segment. They'll do that, and then they'll have Bray Wyatt tell him no for some reason. And they'll tease it for me, and then they'll take it away. Because that's what Raw does. They take away my joy with all the things that we see on a fucking Monday night on a regular. What else happened tonight? Samoa Joe. We got to see Samoa Joe for about a blip in a cell phone selfie interview. Now, the only thing I'm going to be happy about in this instance is that they did not cover Samoa Joe's face with gigantic words. Apparently, Kevin Dunn seemed to fit that in this moment, and with the seriousness of Samoa Joe, maybe he should put the Windows Movie Maker down. Maybe he should not filter this one through his Snapchat filter and let Joe do his thing. Joe now is a member of SmackDown Live. He will be facing Roman Reigns at the first inter-branded pay-per-view of the year after this shakeup, which makes no sense to me again. I don't know why we're doing inter-promotional matchups between brands instead of just having each brand bring their specific matches to the card, not highlighting every single storyline every single month. Have like 4 matches from Raw, 3 matches from SmackDown, call it a night. Next month you do vice versa. Give more matches to SmackDown, a couple of less matches to Raw. We don't have to feature everything every month, every time. But Samoa Joe is on a collision course with Roman Reigns after his big coronation party this Friday. And I don't really like it. I don't care for it. I don't see how it's going to do anything for either show or for either guy when their paths are clearly separated once that match is over. It's just stupid. Sami and Kevin. The Sami and Kevin show. I did enjoy the entirety of the segment with Kurt Angle, as they just pretty much did this whole thing to run Kurt Angle down. My favorite joke of the night is when Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn were arguing over whether or not Kurt Angle had 5 or 6 kids. Now, we all know Kurt Angle only has 5 children. The WWE wants us to believe he has a 6th child in the adopted Angle son, Jason Jordan. I don't believe it, you don't believe it, Jason Jordan don't even believe it. The world doesn't believe it. They made light of it in this joke. And Kevin Owens telling Sami, oh, well, this is where your mistake is. You forgot Jason Jordan. And then Sami Zayn says, yeah, well, that's all right. Kurt's forgotten about him for the last few years or so. Definitely getting under the belt of the Olympic gold medalist. I thought it was fantastic. But all of their fantastic bullshit and their delivery and everything that they said that pissed off Kurt Angle tonight only led them to a matchup with Braun Strowman and Boring Lashley. That's right, we're not going to call him Bobby Lashley. His name on this channel will just be Boring Lashley, because that's what he is. He's chocolate ice cream, boring fucking as apple pie. You know when you go to a nice friggin' carnival and you got all these different treats and stuff that you can try. You got delicious candy apples covered in walnuts and stuff. And you got some funnel cake with some powdered sugar. Maybe you got the Zeppelis. If you're Italian, you're going to go for that big old bag of Zeppelis. You know, you get 10 for like $3. It's beautiful. You got all these other delicious snacks. cotton candy. If I said it already, I don't know. Maybe I need to eat something sweet. That's why I'm going down this road. But we have all these choices on the roster, and they want to just give us a bowl of ice cream. Plain old bowl of ice cream. No fudge, no whipped cream, no cherry on top. Just boring Lashley. Figuring he's going to get the rub off the most over guy on the Monday Night Raw roster, Braun Strowman. Braun Strowman's reaction tonight from the crowd was fantastic. Bobby Boring Lashley was not. He gets a win tonight in this tag team matchup with Braun Strowman. Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens are fantastic, and I actually liked this matchup, but not with Boring Lashley. I think they would have been better off bringing back Little Nicholas, right? Say, listen, we ain't got a tag team partner again. We just go stand in the corner and let Braun Strowman fight. I almost called him Sevi. No, Kevin and Sami. Why can't I just say that in two separate words? That's crazy. Anyway, all night long we heard about the stupid Greatest Royal Rumble. Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens will face off against Braun Strowman and Bobby Lashley. The one thing I will say about this match that I enjoyed more than anything else was the spot where Braun Strowman repeatedly shoulder tackled Kevin Owens on the outside like a goddamn battering ram and sent him to next week. He hit him so hard, I think that Kevin Owens thinks the greatest Roman party already happened and that they're setting up for SummerSlam. Holy shit, the power of Braun Strowman and the athleticism of Kevin Owens, the selling ability is absolutely fantastic. Braun Strowman and Boring Lashley gets the win. Nobody gives a shit about him. We had Baron Corbin and No Way Jose. Again, a double-edged sword with this one. I absolutely hate the packaging of No Way Jose on Monday Night Raw. The fact that you give him what looks like a bunch of middle-aged parents partying at your grandparents' 50th wedding anniversary with fucking laser around their neck and big stupid Elton John glasses and taco hats. Friggin' big muscle-bound retard guy in a purple half shirt with his pecs hanging out. Looks like a lady with boobs hanging out. Are you kidding me? No Way Jose came out every week on NXT TV dancing to his own tune with no mooks in the background. No middle-aged rejects or trainees in development dressed up as goofballs. We've seen this act already. It didn't work the first time. It's definitely not going to work this time. You think just because he's not stage diving off the second rope into his crowd of idiots that we don't think he's like Adam Rose? Why does he need a fucking conga line? Why? Because it's fun. Because we're having fun. It's Monday Night Raw. We're having fun. You know what would be fun? A fucking wrestling match would be fun. A real legit wrestling match. You would have given me No Way Jose versus Baron Corbin, given them enough time to tell a decent story. Your basic babyface versus heel dynamic would do just fine. Or you can go with the big guy versus the smaller guy. It would work either way. But instead, we get a fucking joke of a conga line coming out with a guy whose potential is untapped and is actually there to be one of the bigger stars in the company. He's an absolutely talented wrestler who's being relegated to the joke section. Sit him next to Fandango and Tyler Breeze, because that's where he's headed. That's exactly where he's headed. And you know who knew this tonight? Baron Corbin. Baron Corbin comes out for this matchup and he's like, listen, when you want to stop dancing with retards and you want to stop playing La Bamba out here and celebrating every single Monday night like it's a quinceañera, partying with your family, Jose, why don't you get serious and I'll come down there and I'll bust your ass. And then Baron Corbin walks off. So at the same time, I appreciate what Baron Corbin had to say, and I actually agree with what Baron Corbin had to say, but the fact that they made him say that and then walk away and then have him attack after the fact was just, I don't know. I would have much rather have just seen a match. I don't know. All of the entertainment with the new people who need to be established. Why does anybody in a Monday Night Raw audience give a shit that Baron Corbin beat down No Way Jose. They only seen him for the first time last week. If they're not watching NXT, they have no idea who he is. They have no reason to give a shit that Baron Corbin beat him up tonight. There's no investment. They don't care. The live crowd's reacting the way a live crowd is supposed to. But me sitting here at home, I'm wondering why one of his stupid reject friends didn't at least warn him that Baron Corbin was coming. Did Baron Corbin take out all 15 or 20 jackasses before he got to No Way Jose on the entrance ramp? I would have liked to seen that. But there was not nearly enough time from when the last jackass entered the backstage to when Baron Corbin made his way out. Somebody could have at least tried to trip him. Apparently, these idiots that want to party with No Way Jose don't give a shit about him either. Because they let Baron Corbin walk right by. I can see them in the back. Oh shit, there's that guy. Hey, look, Jose's out there. Don't touch me. I got a fucking taco hat on. Why don't you touch my pecs? They're sticking out for you. Get the fuck out of here. This match was nothing. Eventually nothing. Curtis Axel and Bo Dallas continued on their search. They did approach Finn Balor also on the night. They wanted to join the Balaxo Club. They wanted to form the Balor Club with them taking the places of Gallows and Anderson. They were smart enough to realize, hey, listen, you had two friends, now you don't have two friends, let us be your two friends. And they threw up the Too Sweet, and they had his shirt on now, and it made me laugh. It was great. Like I said, this needs to continue every single week. Have them just keep getting rejected by everybody, because this was good. This reminded me of like Edge and Christian and Kurt Angle doing their goofball antics in the backstage during the heyday of wrestling. This is acceptable fun. Don't bring this kind of shit to the ring. Like having a conga line of retards. No, keep that shit in the back and then let Jose come out and tear it up. Bo Dallas and Curtis Axel are doing great with this on this first night. Hopefully they don't let it go on too long, no. Like a Breezango sort of a deal. They ended up facing both of the people that they approached tonight to try to form an alliance with, which was Finn Balor and Seth Rollins. Great matchup, I thought, for the people that were involved. Like I said, this was the best I've seen Curtis Axel and Bo Dallas, but this match was nothing. This match was essentially nothing. This was an easy win for Seth Rollins and Finn Balor. But why are they being teamed up and not feuding against one another? I don't understand it. We still have the wrong people as babyfaces and the wrong people as heels. You got the Intercontinental Champion in the ring, and he's in a fun match. He's in an entertainment match with Curtis and Bo. Instead of trying to build up his angle or build up anything at all towards this matchup, this Intercontinental Championship ladder match, which is happening just 4 days from now. That's not what Seth Rollins was worried about tonight. He was worried about getting a win over the Miztourage with somebody who he should be fighting against in Finn Balor. So the whole thing really made no sense to happen outside of what was going on with Curtis Axel and Bo Dallas. But I wish that they would be taking this Intercontinental Championship around the waist of Seth Rollins more seriously. His reign deserves a little bit more to it than what it's actually getting. Remember that gauntlet match that we were all so high on Seth Rollins about a couple of weeks back, couple of months ago? Probably one of the reasons why they gave him this belt in the first place. Because there's not many people that can perform on the level of a Seth Rollins right now, at least on the Monday Night Raw side of things. And he's being put in tag team matches. We literally had almost all tag team matches tonight. And all of the ones that were single matches got friggin' scooped up by outside interference or something like that. With the exception of Jinder Mahal and Chad Gable. This show, other than the tribute to Bruno, which was actually very, very touching and very well done. A fantastic piece by the WWE promotional department, which is always on their game with that. It got me all teared up. It welled me up a little bit. We got our tribute to Bruno up on the channel as well. If you have not seen that, it will be linked in the annotations up in the upper right-hand corner of the screen. This show ended with a 10-woman tag team matchup. Before I begin this segment of my show, I want to preface it by any of you who might be new to this channel and might be watching me for the first time to take a step back, all right? Take a deep fucking breath and pay attention to what I'm about to say. Anybody who is a longtime fan of my show knows that I am one of the, if not the biggest advocate of women's wrestling. It's one of my favorite things in the world about wrestling, is watching women do it. Since I was a young man, one of my favorite wrestling programs in the world was Gorgeous Ladies of Wrestling. There was not a man to be found, because I love wrestling. I'm also a red-blooded American male who happens to love females, and have my whole entire life, maybe way sooner than I should have. And I have done everything that I have could to champion the cause of the women's revolution and the evolution, and I've been behind it. I'm even one of the guys that were okay with the Women's Royal Rumble. I was okay with everything in its inception. I just knew that the execution was not going to be there, and that now was not really the proper time to be doing all these first efforts. But you know that there is not a sexist bone in my body. So what I'm about to say is strictly directed at the WWE and its creative department, and not the female talents that were forced to be put in this main event that once again was nothing more than a vehicle to put over Ronda Rousey at the expense of the women's champion, and not only the women's champion, but the entire women's division of Monday Night Raw. Essentially, I don't have too much of a problem with it. Ronda Rousey is a once-in-a-lifetime athlete. She brings a legitimacy to the business, and her arrival and her being a part of the WWE should be viewed as special. It should be booked as an event of some sort to be felt big. They want Ronda Rousey, everything she does, to be big. But when you do things like you do tonight, and you just lump everybody all in one matchup, only to have it be about Ronda Rousey in the end, much like you did to the Royal Rumble, what was the point of the match? You could have very easily done this at the beginning of the show, or at the 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock spot. Who in their right mind back there thought it would be a good idea to make this match the main event? At some point, you got to stop with this agenda. Alright? We all love women's wrestling. We get it. Alright? We didn't need this as the main event tonight. What idiot deems worthy the Riot Squad to be in the main event of Monday Night Raw? Huh? Can you tell me that? Nia Jax has been the women's champion since WrestleMania. She has barely had a moment to shine on her own 2 feet. They put her in a tag team match with Ember Moon, and now they put her in a 10-woman match to end the show. This isn't about Nia Jax. And whenever the focus is shifted on Nia Jax, what do we get? Fat jokes and bully references and stupidness. We got a moment of bliss tonight. A video package by Alexa Bliss talking about how Nia Jax is the real bully in this scenario. Just more of the same tired bullshit that nobody wanted to see going into WrestleMania. The best thing about it, I thought, was that it was over. Just like Roman and Brock. I thought it was over at WrestleMania. Little did we know it was only just begun. The whole show tonight began with Roman and Brock. Who cares? If you have any interest in this match coming up at us 4 days from now, then there's no help for you, bro. We've seen it already 3 times. The only reason this is happening is so that Vince McMahon can pop off in the back when he gets the reaction he wants to get for his golden boy when he finally beats the Beast. He knew New Orleans was going to shit all over his idea. So they planned this whole event, the Great Roman Party. The debacle in the desert, the worst Royal Rumble there will ever be, ever. They're booking this show bigger than a WrestleMania. They unfortunately are forced to keep the woman off the card because of the way the rules are set up in Saudi Arabia and women's rights and whatnot. I'm sure everybody's going to get up in arms about that and try to change Saudi Arabia now. Leave them alone. They'll get to where they got to get on their own. Once upon a time, women had no rights here too. That's not going to always be the way it is. Let's stay out of their business with that shit right now. Alright, and let's just view this card for what it is. This card is WrestleMania. This was Vince's plans for WrestleMania, complete with the AJ Styles and Shinsuke Nakamura match. But it's not for them. It's not even for the 50-man Royal Rumble. It's for the Roman and Brock main event. Inside a steel cage. In front of thousands of rabid fans that will be so happy when Roman wins. That Vince can have that moment to play over and over, and that crowd reaction to play over and over, in hopes that the U.S. crowd will be like, hey, look, these guys like him. Like, I don't understand what the logic is. Roman Reigns came out tonight and was like, oh, well, I'm going to take the Universal Championship. Yeah, we heard this before. We've been down this road before. Who cares? I wish it would have already happened, so that this greatest Royal Rumble wouldn't be screwing shit up on the way to Backlash. They're not forming any type of story towards that show outside of Samoa Joe and Roman Reigns. They're not really leading towards anything until the Great Roman Party is over. And then maybe we'll actually get to see how the brand shakeups will really play out. We still have to watch SmackDown tomorrow night. Tonight's Monday Night Raw, obviously, as you can see, was not good at all. Like we said at the onset of this show, the more things change, the more the song remains the same. Just because you added some new faces doesn't mean the people in the back aren't doing their same job. And what their job apparently is bringing us a shitty wrestling show. This show was only saved by the Sami and Kevin show, Drew McIntyre, Dolph Ziggler, and the Mr. Rush. Holy shit. We don't say that very often. And that's Monday Night Raw tonight, you guys. Right up and down. Did I miss anything? Let's scroll through the results here. We talked about that. We talked about that. Yeah. Nothing really left to go over. We covered everything that happened tonight, and we are getting ready for tomorrow night's SmackDown Live in their first offering after the shakeup. I can't see it going well. I had no hopes for tonight being good, and unfortunately I was right. Unfortunately, I was right. Nothing about tonight's show makes me think that anything is going to be any different on any Monday night leading through the rest of the year, nor will it be different tomorrow night for SmackDown Live. And you can guarantee your ass, the one thing you can bet your money on, is that I'm going to be here to talk to you about it as soon as it wraps up tomorrow night after SmackDown Live. I am going to go and tune into that Bruno documentary that is going to be on the WWE Network. I love myself wrestling documentaries, and I loved Bruno Sammartino. We did our tribute. We got it up there like I mentioned before, and I did it most especially because to me, Bruno Sammartino, quick little story, was very special To me, he was my grandparents' favorite wrestling. I found wrestling on my own as a child, and then when they discovered that I was watching it, I used to get filled with all of these stories about the great Bruno Sammartino and Antonino Rocca and Ivan Koloff and all these people that my grandparents were big fans of. And he was around for WrestleMania 1 and 2, so I was very aware of Bruno Sammartino. I got to see him perform in the ring, and losing him this past week definitely hit my heart very heavily. I was in Madison Square Garden on the night he was inducted into the Hall of Fame. It was one of the best nights and probably the last great Hall of Fame induction ceremony that there was. They had Bob Backlund, Booker T, Trish Stratus, with the exception of Donald Trump going in that night. Every single person that went in that night was fully deserving. Terry Funk was there. It was an absolutely great night. I got to scream Bruno, as the fans do, in Madison Square Garden, one of the houses that he helped build, and it was absolutely fantastic. Losing him was terrible news for me, so we definitely worked hard on that tribute, and I hope you guys enjoy it. Make sure you check it out. It's only about 3 minutes. It's definitely worth your time. Just as good, in my opinion, as the WWE's. We used a lot of the same pictures, I noticed. But that's to be expected, because his moments in his life are legendary. And he lived a legendary life, and I want to go learn more about it. Maybe we'll even talk about it on this next weekend's show. This weekend there was not a lot of news, so that's why there was no real other news shows going up. We will have the preview and predictions of the greatest Royal Rumble coming to you guys Wednesday afternoon, so make sure you are prepared and ready to go up and down that card and hear everything I have to say about the worst Royal Rumble ever, or the Great Roman Party, the debacle in the desert coming at us from Saudi Arabia this Friday. You can trust the Sledgehammer TV and the Sledgehammer Wrestling Show to be your definitive source for all things, even when we hate every single thing about it, just like we hate this greatest Royal Rumble. From the name to the matches, there's going to be all kinds of hammers coming down on that preview and predictions, and I'm sure we'll be swinging it with fury when all is said and done after the event on Friday. Thank you guys so much for joining me. If you are watching me on YouTube, do not forget to smash that like button. Share this video with all your wrestling buddies. Make sure that they get their asses over here. And then all of you, subscribe to this channel. Get us to 1,000 subscribers before Backlash. Let's go with Backlash. There's a couple of weeks to do it. I would have said for Greatest Royal Rumble, but that's not giving us enough time. Let's do it before Backlash. All I need is for you to hit that subscribe button. Tell your friends to come and subscribe. Become part of the growing and one of the best, respectful, and wise fan bases of pro wrestling that you will ever come across in your life. I love my fans. They are some of the smartest, most knowledgeable fans you will ever come across. It is worth your while to leave a comment down there and interact with all of them. I will be commenting back to as many many people that leave a comment in this video, to as many as I can, all day tomorrow after I get home from work. So make sure you leave your comments and questions down below. Don't forget to hashtag the sticker. Juan, my buddy Juan, my #1 subscriber when it comes to that, he knows. He's the only one that's been doing it, so let's see if we can get some more people. All it takes is a little comment, 1 second at a time. Hashtag whatever the sign says. This way I know you guys are paying attention. A little interactivity, a little gameplay here on the Sledgehammer Wrestling Show. Thank you guys so much. Also, don't forget, if you are listening to this show right now on Podbean, or maybe you're listening on iTunes, or maybe you're listening on that little place called a Stitcher Radio. On whichever platform you choose, we are here for you guys. Don't forget to leave a 5-star rating. Follow us on whatever platform you choose to keep your wrestling news going, and keep your eyes and ears always peeled for the Sledgehammer Wrestling Show. Thank you guys so much for checking us out and supporting us each and every single which way you can. My name is Nick Nightmare. These are my buddies, the world's greatest tag team, Thor, the wrestling god of thunder, the official sledgehammer of the Sledgehammer Wrestling Show, and my little buddy, my trusty companion, and most importantly, say it with me, the world heavyweight champion of microphones, Blue the Snowball. This has been the Sledgehammer Wrestling Show right here on Sledgehammer TV. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter. At Nick Nightmare is the handle. Check us out at Facebook, facebook.com/The Sledgehammer Wrestling Show. All of my audio friends, get your asses to youtube.com/Sledgehammer TV. Subscribe today. That is going to do it, and we are out of here. And we will see you next time right here on the Sledgehammer Wrestling Show.